Hey everyone, welcome back to Layout once again. Today I have a relatively fun layout update for you as compared to some of the more boring ones, I guess. Nothing crazy has happened on the layout, like scenery-wise or anything like that, but I have a few things to update you on regarding rolling stock. I have also got a little bit more work done on the under the layout wiring, which that is the boring stuff, so won't spend too much time on that. But then I also put together a couple structures, and I have a question for you, just opinion-wise, regarding the brewery, which we'll take a look at later in the video. But first thing I want to take a look at is that locomotive you saw at the beginning of the video. That is a brand new unit, so let's go ahead, head around the corner, and take a look. So as you guys saw, the locomotive I was running at the beginning of this video is BNSF 9647, which is so lovingly referred to as the vomit bonnet, or barf bonnet, I guess because the paint scheme is so ugly. And I think from pure design standards I would have to agree, but it's definitely a unique paint scheme, and I like the colors, and it's pretty significant as it sort of marks the merger between Burlington Northern and Santa Fe. Of course, this locomotive, the prototype locomotive, has since been repainted into Heritage 3. It's actually kind of a weird Heritage 3 scheme. They didn't even finish the pilots. They left everything black on the front, but the handrails on normal BNSF units should be yellow and white. Just an interesting side note. But I don't think I've mentioned it yet. This is a Kato locomotive. I bought this secondhand, so it already has a TCS decoder installed. No sound, of course, so I will eventually be installing an ESU lock sound decoder. Same goes for this ST40-2 I've got here. But these two run really well together since they're both Kato locomotives, so even though they don't have sound right now, they're still pretty fun to run. So anyway, in the future, look for some weathering and sound in these units. Definitely a few more details to add as well. Like there's a handrail broken here and the horn's missing, just little things like that, but I'll be touching those up as time goes on. I've also been having a lot of fun weathering cars, and this is one project I've started. I got this Atlas 64-foot reefer, and I think at the train show last year, so or no, maybe it was in the spring. Doesn't matter, but I've had this for a little bit, finally getting around to weathering it. You can't see it here since the graffiti goes over it, but this is ARMN 111111. So if you look at photos of this actual car, I'm replicating the real graffiti that is on this specific car. There's still quite a bit to do on this tag alone. Towards the top of the orange lettering it fades to pink, and then there's a lot of white highlighting as well. And then pretty much around all the tops of the letters there's sort of a yellow outline, and those features I have yet to paint on there, so this one's probably about half done on this side. And of course that's not to mention the other quadrant of the car on this side, and then the entire other side as well. So still a lot of work to do on this one. I've started to do the grimy weathering portion of it as well, so I've got a little bit of grime on the doors using some oil washes. I weathered the ends of the car as well a little bit, but there will be more of that to come. So anyway, that's been pretty fun. And then I also have a couple other cars that I have weathered, actually 4 to be exact. So I have this BNSF grain hopper for sale. This is an Atlas Trainman car. Nothing crazy, I just faded it a little bit with a white airbrush wash, and then a little bit of underframe grime. As I said, nothing crazy, but I think it looks pretty realistic. So that is for sale on my eBay page. I'll put the link below. Then these two cars I have here, I don't have up for sale yet. They will be soon, I believe, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But anyway, this is a Walther center beam flat car, and the lighting here is pretty bad since it's right overhead, so the center beam of the car is actually casting quite a big shadow, so you don't get the detail. But I did, the best I could, finding just general prototype photos. So I did some of the scratching on the center partition. I find a lot of these center pillars also get quite a bit of blackening towards the top of them, and I assume that's from rust and whatnot. So This was a lot of oil paints, but also acrylics initially too. And then the wheel faces, or the rim of the wheel, I wiped off to simulate that this car has rolled through a hump yard sometime recently. So as I said, this one probably will be for sale. It's just not up yet. And then the same goes for this bulkhead flat car here. It's pretty much done, but I haven't actually put it up on eBay yet. So really the only thing remaining here is I need to add a dull coat to this. I actually got some ultra flat dull coat in from AK Interactive, which I've heard good things about. So I'm going to try that out on these two cars here, and then those will be complete. But basically all I did here, well, actually quite a few things. I did a pretty heavy oil wash all over the car. I painted the deck sort of a light beige color, and then went over that with pretty heavy oil paints. So that created sort of a wooden plank deck look, which I think looks pretty good. And then just some rust spots all over the car. So also this is a Atlas Trainman model, but it's actually quite detailed. It comes with this pipe load from the factory, and also all the rigging on the deck as well. And then I also weathered this LBF Trinity grain hopper. This one's quite a bit heavier weathering wise as compared to the other BNSF hopper. So I did acrylic washes here and some oil paints to blacken the panels. And then I also simulated that two of the hatches had been replaced down there. I got some pretty cool wheel splatter on the end bins there. I think the trucks turned out pretty good. You can see I have a replaced bearing cap on the end there. And then the yellow safety striping is actually from Smokebox Graphics. I know a lot of people have used that, and this is my first time using it, and it's really cool because it actually is really reflective. I think it's the actual Scotchlite tape that the railroads use, and they're already pre-cut into those scale sections, so it's really easy to just peel them off the sticker sheet and slap them onto your model, and I highly recommend those. So this one actually is for sale on my eBay page as well, so again, that link will be in the description. So very briefly, let's talk about some of the boring stuff. I showed this to you last time, I think, and this is what I've been working on for the most part since the last update. So you can see here I have quite a few more wires on my terminal strip there, and you can see I've numbered each of them. So all those red wires there are block detection sub buses. So each of those goes a number of places around the layout, so for example, number 15 there, I think, powers the block that's just over here, so past this turnout, so the block here between that turnout and the turnout over there to the yard. That block has a bus wire running underneath it. You can see that red wire there, and then there's a number of feeders between the bus wire and the track, and then that bus wire feeds back over here into that nest of spaghetti noodles, and then it feeds through my little light diffuser wire organizer thing and hooks up to the terminal strip here. And eventually that wire then will get hooked up to a block detection circuit board that'll be mounted on the face of this panel. So I don't have those yet, which is why, as you can see here, I have all of those wires daisy chained together on the bottom side, because if I did not do that, then all the track sections would be electrically isolated and nothing would run. So for right now, I have them daisy chained together, but as I said, eventually when I get all of my DCC control circuitry purchased and then installed on the panel here, I'll hook everything up properly and we will have block detection and signaling. Another thing I've been working on is putting together a few more Walthers kits. We had a number of unbuilt kits sitting in their boxes, and for the most part they were intended for over here in the industrial area. So I don't have them all built yet, but I got two more installed, and now for the most part our brewery complex here is assembled roughly. But what you'll notice about these two buildings here is that they're not complete, right? So I don't have any of the details installed, and they're not even painted yet. But I'm taking sort of a different approach than I did with this building, and rather than paint each of the individual pieces before I assemble the building. I've decided I'll put together the main structure, so that's like the walls and the roof, of course, and then afterwards, after I have it glued together, I can then go in, mask anywhere that I need to, and paint each surface or each layer independently from the other, but after the structure is put together. And I think by doing that, I'll create sort of a more realistic and cohesive look, because one thing you'll notice is that even since I've put this building together, the glue has come undone here. So not a big deal, I'll just touch that up with a little bit more glue. But had this building already been painted, it would have been sort of a pain to make sure that I didn't get any glue seeping out of the seam there. And this way I can control that a little better, sand it, add joint compound where I need to, and then paint everything afterwards. So you can see now, or really get a good idea of what our complex will look like here. The one thing that is missing is I have an office building that needs to go on the far side over here. So there's a big parking lot where the truck distribution section is. So there'll be an office building down there that actually came with this kit, which I have not put together yet. But one thing that I do want to ask you guys is, originally I had these two buildings pushed all the way up against our main brick structure here. But I thought it looked a little weird being flush against that building, so I decided to leave a little bit of an alleyway there. If I move the camera here, you can see I left enough room so a car can get between it, and there's also a stairway there that walks up to a door on the side of this building. So I think sorry about that. I think I'm leaning this way, but if you guys have opinions about whether I should leave more space or close the gap, let me know. And yeah, I think that's really all I have. So I feel like I'm leaving something out, but if I am, that's just more of an excuse to have another layout update. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, of course, leave those below. But otherwise, stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.